So we have f of x equals negative times the quantity x minus 2 squared plus 4. So how is this graph moving? First off, what's the shape? Let's start there. It's a parabola. It's a U. And is it facing up or down? Down. Because what's our value for a? -1, which means we only have a reflection across which axis? X. Good. Okay, our starting point. What is our starting point? How is it moving? Is it moving left or right?
Right.
Oops, we got right 2. And then how is it moving, up or down?
Up.
Up 4. Good. Okay, so when we graph, we're going to start with that point. So we're going to go right 2, up 4. Okay. Now, with parabolas, when a is, or the absolute value of a is greater than 1, you have a stretch, you can use that a value to find your first point. So we could go down 1, right 1, and down 1, left 1. That gives us our first point. You can use that on your homework today. That will help because it continues the shape for you. But the thing to keep in mind is it's not a V, it's a U. So that doesn't continue all the way through. So this would be a time where you could use your graphing calculator to find more points using the table function. And I can help you with that once we finish notes. But another way you can do is we know that 1 squared is 1. What is 2 squared? 4. So if we go 2 away, we're going to then go 4 down. And we're going down because that a value equaled -1. Okay, so our other point is going to be 2 to the right and then down 4. And then we can reflect and go 2 to the left and down 4. I would prefer you have 5 points when you graph a parabola, just to ensure that you're getting that curve. Okay. Again, I'll show you how to get it on your table after we finish notes. Okay. All right, in behavior. Down, down. Domain. -infinity to +infinity. Range. -infinity to 4. 4 has a bracket. Good. Axis of symmetry.
X equals 2.
X equals 2. Vertex. 2, 4. This one should be a little easier to tell. What are our x-intercepts? 0 and 4. And what about our y-intercept? 0 as well. Questions with the parabola? All right. Okay, our next one is going to be one of our newer shapes. Okay, so f of x equals the square root of x minus 2 plus 6. The easiest way to think about the shape of a square root is it's like a sloppy square root. Because, not going to lie, some of you make a square root like that. Okay. So, if you remember that, it looks similar to a square root but curved. Kind of helps you remember the shape. Okay. Let's talk real quick about the parent function of this. Okay, so the parent function, y equals the square root of x. If we were to make a table just to find some of our basic points. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 0. What is the square root of 0? 0. We can take the square root of 1, and the square root of 1 is 1. What's the next number we can take the square root of?
2.
Can we take the square root of 2?
4.
4. The square root of 4 is 2. Okay. So remember, it's backwards of a parabola, right? This will help us with our finding our points. once we start graphing it. Okay, when you're doing it by hand. Again, I'm okay with you using the table in your graphing calculator. So, looking at our function, f of x equals the square root of x minus 2 plus 4. How is the graph moving? Right 2 and up 6. So go ahead and go right 2, up 6, and make that starting point. Okay. This is now where we're going to use this table to help us find our other points. And this works when a is 1. Okay. So from that starting point, we're going to go right 1, up 1. And then to find our third point, we're going to go right 4 from the starting point, and then up 2. And then it's just going to be kind of like half of a parabola, curved. Make sure it's like half of a U, and that is your graph. Okay, it's not going to go past or to the left of that starting point. Okay, it's always going to go to the right. Okay. All right. We're not going to worry about end behavior here. Domain. 2 to infinity. 2 has a bracket. Good. Okay, range. What's our lowest y value? 6. Going up to infinity. Good. Do we have any symmetry with square root? No. So we don't need to worry about the axis of symmetry. We don't really have a vertex. We had just kind of like a starting point. Do we have any x-intercepts? None. What about y-intercepts? None. Okay. The square root graph is the one that's the least familiar, okay? But any questions on that one? All right, last 2 examples. Now I'm going to have you go backwards, okay? If I give you a graph, can you write me the function? So, based off this first graph, we know the shape is a parabola or a U, which means what's the function? X squared. Okay, so we know it's going to be something squared. Okay, so from the origin, how is our graph moving? Down how many? Down 5. Over which direction?
Right.
Left. So we're going left 2, down 5. Okay, what about our a value? So, what can we say about the a value to begin with? It's negative. Okay. Now, we need to find the next point going to the right. Always go to the right. So our next nicest point is going to be right here at -1, -7. And the nice thing is we can just count. So how many do we have to go down? 2. And then we have to run.
1.
So our a value is just -2. And then you're just plugging it in. So our function f of x equals our a value of -2 times the quantity. Okay, left 2. Is that going to be a negative or a positive? Positive. So x plus 2, quantity squared. And then down 5, is that going to be positive or negative? Negative. So -5. Any questions? Okay, last one. Okay, what is the parent function of this graph? Square root. Okay, how is it moving from the origin? Right 3 and up 5, good. And then from our starting point, we want to find the next closest or nice point. What is our value for a?
1.
1. Since a is 1, do we need to write the 1? No. So our equation here, f of x equals the square root. Is it going to be plus or minus 3?
Minus.
So x minus 3, and then plus 5. Make sure that plus 5 is outside of the radical. And pretend like you can see it on the board. Sorry, guys. Okay, any questions?